Diagnosing a child with a chronic or terminal illness drastically changes the lives of a family member forever. Recently, a good friend of mine was blessed with a new addition to her family, but the child was born with an adrenal insufficiency that could result in life threatening crises due to the off balance hormones and dangerously low salinity levels. Her family's life began to revolve around the newborn, meeting all of her health needs. I saw how affected this family was psychologically, emotionally, and financially, and for people like them, I wanted to help lessen the burden of chronic illness. Many families in Palm Beach County experience the same challenge, and this hardship strains the functionality of the family unit. I decided Quantum House was the perfect opportunity to serve those facing a similar struggle. Last year, I was blessed with the opportunity to volunteer at a doctor's office that my aunt started. The team there specializes in speech pathology, meaning they would help children properly swallow and talk due to the fact many of them had special needs that impaired these abilities. Spending a lot of time with my aunt growing up, I was present at many of her therapy sessions with these type of children, so over the years, a soft spot for them developed. At the office, I was able to help feed the children and play with them as my aunt and her partner watched their muscle movements. Not only was I helping the doctors identify the problem, I was also bringing joy to the child. At this moment, I knew I would dedicate portions of my senior year to helping children that face similar obstacles. Also, the fact that I was able to volunteer at such a helpful place helped me discover my passion for serving those medically. In order to find a solution that alleviates the stress of chronic illness on the family, I must know the answer to these questions. How great is the effects of pediatric illness on all members of the family? How prominent are pediatric terminal and chronic illnesses in Palm Beach County? How are individuals affected financially, spiritually, and psychologically? How is the patient specifically affected? Is guidance provided for the effects each individual faces? If so, is there room for improvement? To understand the questions I have asked, I must take into consideration the statistics describing the prominence of pediatric chronic and terminal health conditions. According to an article written by Bruce E. Compass and his colleagues, Coping with Chronic Illness in Childhood and Adolescence, 1 out of 4 children in the United States, or roughly 15 to 18 million children who are 17 years old and under, suffer from a chronic health problem. A very prominent disease among these group of dangerous pediatric illnesses is cancer. As stated in U.S. childhood cancer statistics, childhood cancer is the most common cause of child fatalities in disease in the United States. U.S. childhood cancer statistics also says each year 15,780 children between birth and 19 years old are diagnosed with cancer in the United States. More than 300,000 children are diagnosed each year with cancer globally. Chronic health problems such as cancer have compromised a vast percentage of children, not only in the United States, but also internationally. Across the globe, ill children and their families face many challenges as health conditions require treatment and care. Not only is treatment a stress factor, but also finances and the psychological well being of the child. These problematic illnesses have a large effect on the patient and their family. Tension levels rise as each family member experiences heightened emotions across the vast emotional spectrum. According to how cancer affects the family life, individuals start to experience sadness, anger, hopelessness, and spiritual distress after discovering a loved one has been diagnosed with a life threatening illness such as cancer. Spiritual distress is when a person's belief system is disturbed due to the loss of meaning, comfort, or strength. The family pours all of their attention into the child, leaving them with no time to emotionally heal, as well as possibly neglecting the siblings. As stated by T. Bezier on page 693 of Impact of a Family-Oriented Rehabilitation Program on Behavioral and Emotional Problems in Healthy Siblings of Chronically Ill Children, children with chronically ill siblings are at a higher risk to develop increased behavioral and emotional problems and have a lesser quality of life. These can be incorporated into the foundation of the child as they begin developing, which causes a lifetime setback. The cost is not only placed on the mentality of the family, but also the finances. In the article, The Economic Impacts of Chronic Illness on Household Patients, Paul T. Okadeji and his colleagues state that 80% of families have spent more than 10% of their monthly household income on health. The mean directly month cost of chronic illness estimates to roughly $137.72, and chronic illnesses indirectly cost a loss of productivity by 18.9% for caregivers. Though the estimated mean direct cost seems low, this is only the mean, and sometimes depending on the severity of the illness and location of the patient, the cost can be more. Parents who are also dedicating their time to care uh, for the ill child lose time from work, which results in loss of income. The overwhelming stress of watching their child battle a life threatening illness joins with the stress of a financial struggle. Struggling finances has led 44.8% of people resorting to borrowing, 5% of selling assets, 8.6% accessing health insurance in order to cope with the economic impacts of illness. Families may lose everything they have to prevent the loss of their child as the severity grows and the chaos among the family rises. I have hypothesized a two-part solution. The components include spiritual care and emotional rehabilitation for the patient and the family. The spiritual care would take into consideration the specific spiritual needs and religion of the patient and help build back their faith. This can have a positive effect on an individual's spiritual well being as well as quality of life. The emotional and behavioral rehabilitation program would be specifically tailored to the individual and feature physical and psychological treatments for all family members, which has been seen to work in the study conducted by T. Bezier. The program could be done in their own private facility, or if the child is unable to leave a care center, the program can be administered at the place of treatment. Partnerships with the facilities like Quantum House could help increase the outreach of this rehabilitation program. Through the research I have presented, I have discovered how burdensome the effects of chronic health are on the psychological well-being of the family, the financial effects, and the way that the family views their child. As I visited Quantum House, I was able to incorporate my research and how I interacted with the families to help lessen this burden by creating fun activities for both the patients and their families to enjoy together. As I practiced the tactics explained through my research, I incorporated my biblical worldview to properly demonstrate who God is and who He says He is, as well as how we're supposed to demonstrate God's qualities to each other. Placing myself in a volunteer position, I needed to understand who God is as through what He says He is. God reminds us countless of times that He is love, stated in 1 John verse 4. It is written, God is love. He loves us despite our flaws, whether they be sins or disabilities. After gaining the knowledge that God is love, I was able to discover who God says I am. God says I am loved along with the rest of humanity. According to Psalm 109, verse 21, where it is said, But you, O God, my Lord, deal on my behalf for my name's sake. Because your steadfast love is good, deliver me. It is shown that his love is unconditional, everlasting, and readily available. This shows us how greatly loved we truly are as humans. God sets the example for how we are to treat others. We are called to treat others how we are treated. Constantly, God pours His love out over us, showing us compassion, mercy, and patience, and many other qualities that we are called to do the same. As Christians, we are called to reach out into humanity, demonstrating His love through acts of kindness, service, and sacrifice. Our world is broken and fallen, but humanity has the opportunity to be restored through the love and mercy of God. I was blessed with the perfect opportunity to exemplify this at Quantum House. Service learning sets the foundation for professional and social opportunities. It is when we gain a knowledge and understanding about a problem and find ways to fix it through service. Jupiter Christian School looks to provide the knowledge about certain worldwide problems and looks to encourage students to rise and conquer the obstacles to serve the community. As we set goals to improve the community, a measurable result comes from the effects left on the people group we serve, whether it be turning to Christianity or improving their happiness. The idea of service learning looks to help those in need while bringing them care, justice, or happiness, while also transforming the life of the volunteer. My goal was to improve the kids' state of minds through doing art with them. Through research, I learned how chronic illness takes a serious toll on the psychological well-being of the families and patient, and I thought family crafts were a perfect way to help combat this problem. I specifically chose to have them paint, and it was definitely a measurable success. As I fulfill God's calling, I hope to grow more as a person and deeper in my faith. I desire to find meaning and purpose for my life through service, as well as find a deeper connection with God as I volunteer. I hope to grow more as a Christian and exhibit the character of God not only in my service, but also in my day-to-day life. This year, I partnered with Quantum House to provide help in their house while also cheering up the residents. Quantum House is a place that houses families from all over the world who are receiving treatment in a nearby Paley Institute. They aim to relieve the stress for families by offering an affordable stay and offering activities to bring joy to the kids. I visited previously during November to complete 8 hours with 2 other students and was able to return March 9th through the 14th. I helped this march by writing thank you cards, helping cook meals, and interacting with the children. The children were able to take part in crafts that were used as a distraction from a tragic period in their life, as well as a bonding moment for children and parents as they work together to create such beautiful masterpieces. I was able to set out paints and help the children with specific things such as beginning their paintings and cleaning up after their messes. I was also able to help interact with the parents and get a better understanding of what it is like to be in their shoes. Exhibiting the emotional response empathy allowed the families to feel understood and build a connection as I volunteered. Here is what the children created along with the help of their parents. Nothing can solve the entirety of the burden created by the financial and psychological toll chronic illnesses place on the family, but this provided a reminder that the families are a team and they will get through this. Emotional care is important for these families battling something only a percentage of the population experiences. So, exhibiting empathy and compassion allowed emotional healing and allowed a peaceful moment to be found for them. As I portrayed compassion and empathy, the love of Christ was shown. Families were able to feel a sense of unconditional, eternal, and easily available love only gained through God's mercy. God used me in a way to demonstrate this through my volunteer efforts to these families who need it most. As I demonstrated God's perfect love, I found a new sense of salvation. I was able to see how truly loved I am and how loved all humanity is. I was able to tell God's story of salvation through my actions, as well as fulfill his plan to exhibit his mercy to mankind. I saw the importance of salvation for not only me, but others and the peace it brings to those who need it most. Over the course of Minimester, I composed a vlog to show the process of demonstrating service. I was able to help buy supplies, cook in the kitchen, and interact with children and families and do arts and crafts with the kids.
Okay, so it is the start of day one, March 9th. It is like 8:30 in the morning, and we're on our way to school. And we are going to meet, and we're going to gather supplies at Walmart and Publix. And yeah, we'll see what happens next. Hi, this is March 9th, first day of Minimester, and we just got all of our paint supplies to do a painting tutorial at Quantum House. Yeah, we'll check in later. Okay, it's still March 9th. We're at our second store, and we're getting the last stuff, so then we'll check in later. The end of day two, and we just finished cleaning up after serving lunch. They played with clay, we helped do a few things around the house, and we ate lunch with them, and we socialized, and it was great. Okay, so it is the end of day three. It is March 11th, and we just finished going to Quantum House and doing some house helping and basically just cleaning up and things like that. And then towards the end, we were playing with the kids and playing with the clay and stuff. And they're all just really happy. So we had a really good time just hanging out with them and stuff. And we look forward to going back tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Okay, so today is March 12th, and it's the last day of Minimester. Today we are cooking meals again for lunch, and then we are going to do arts and crafts. Today is our painting day, so we have paints. What's supposed to happen is we're supposed to do like a painting tutorial type class thing for the kids, and we're going to see if this is as successful as we want it to be. So we'll check in once we get to Quantum House, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so it is the end of day 4, our last day of mini-mester. We wrapped up at Quantum House today with preparing a taco bar and an ice cream bar, and I helped with painting with the kids, and honestly, it was a great experience. It was obviously a way for them to ease the stress of the life that they live, and it was great to even see mothers painting with their kids and things like that, and it was just overall really family oriented, and I thought that this week went really well. I'm just kind of sad that it's over.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was really fun and I had a great time. Although sometimes stressful preparing the foods and things like that, getting it done on time. But we got it done and then we had a great time doing it. So that's all that really matters, and I'm thankful for that experience.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna miss the kid, and that's always so hard.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get to go back soon.
Through Capstone, I learned the importance to humble myself and serve. As I volunteered, I met many people who were happy despite their circumstances, which is something I can incorporate into my own life. For example, the 2 kids I met in November, Ernesto and Spencer, they were the happiest and most playful kids despite their physical obstacles. Ernesto had trouble using his arm, while Spencer underwent limb lengthening surgery on his leg. These children exhibited uncontrollable laughter and joy despite how hard life became for them. This ability to always see the brighter side is something I have practiced since I've met them. Through this opportunity, I was able to see how this week changed my life. I enhanced my academic abilities by using my math skills to properly budget money to buy supplies, which is something I can take into adulthood, as well as confirmed my desire to be in the medical field and improved my communication skills. As I look to pursue a medical career, I need to be able to communicate with other adults as well as have a strong love for the field. My spiritual growth was measured through how my outlook on humanity changed. I became more devoted to serving and loving. The love of God inspired me to share the same Christ-like love with others. As the burden of pediatric, chronic, and terminal illness wears on each individual family member, it can be lightened. As a result of having a child who possesses a serious health condition, the lives of the family revolve around the needs of that child. The family is affected financially, spiritually, and psychologically. March 9th through the 14th was a life-changing week. I was able to find a different side to myself that I never discovered before. I discovered a newfound love for service and rekindled an old love for working with physically challenged children. I was able to fulfill the goal I had set for myself by inspiring children and bringing joy to their lives. During the short time I was there, representing myself, JCS, and God, I was able to show Christ-like love and give back in a positive way to a group of individuals that needed it most. I will now take any questions.